What's going on, guys? It's Seth Gale. I had to create a new YouTube channel. YouTube, randomly deleted my old channel because I was commenting on my Soft White Underbelly interview and telling people where they could find my book. They deleted my account, said I was spamming, although it was me answering questions about me to people who were specifically asking me. Nonetheless, my book is available on Amazon now, Strength Beyond the Shadows. Seth Gale, you can find it there. If you're interested in a signed copy, just comment below. Shoot me a message, shoot me an email, info@sethgale.com. And we can, sort out the logistics of me getting you a signed copy. With that being said, I wanted to thank you all for subscribing. Thank you guys for following. Thanks for jumping over to this channel. I am Seth Gale I was on the Soft White Underbelly interview, and I just kind of wanted to talk about my experience with that and kind of how I got in there, what happened, and I don't know, everything following, what my life has been like in the last 4 months following that interview. First off, Mark Leda of Soft White Underbelly, he wrote the foreword to my book. So it's right there, forward by Mark Leda. So that was really cool to see. So how that happened was I reached out to Mark like a year ago, and I emailed him, told him kind of my story, and said, hey, I'd love to come on the channel. And the reason why I did that was because I saw Clark Frederick's episode. And when I saw Clark Frederick's episode, Clark is the first man that I've ever seen tell his story in the way that he tells it. And that was about a little over a year ago. And when I saw Clark's episode, and it was the first time I had ever seen Soft White Underbelly. And, Clark is a big, imposing man, and it was just something about him that was striking, and I just couldn't help it. It was his storytelling ability, but even the way that he possessed himself as a man and stood there and represented himself, it was just something admirable. And I could feel the pain that he was talking about, okay? Because the way he talked about it, just very raw and visceral. And so when I heard Clark's story, I reached out to Mark, and I sent him an email, and I, kind of shared a little bit about my story. And then Mark, I didn't get an answer. Oddly enough, earlier this year, about 4 months ago, I emailed him again because I was going out to LA and I thought he was out there somewhere. I wasn't 100% sure. So I emailed him again and got a response. And I just was like, holy shit. Like, he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, all right, cool. So show up in LA, go to Mark's studio, and get to meet him. It was an absolute honor, super cool to meet somebody like that. I don't really get excited about meeting anybody really anymore, or not, at least not famous people, but I get excited about meeting people who are doing good things in the world, okay? And I think Mark is one of those people. And so, get to meet him. I go in there, and I'm like, hey, how's everything going, this and that. And Mark is kind of like, he's like, so your story's kind of like similar to Clark Frederick's. And I said, yeah, kind of. We've got similarities. And Mark kind of says, well, Clark's a hell of a storyteller. And I was like, yeah, he is. He certainly is. And I said, I think I'm a good storyteller as well. And so Mark's like, all right, well, don't say anything. Let's get in there and see what you got. So sit down in the chair. There's 2 cameras, a couple lights, take a few pictures, whatever. And I just started telling my story. And I figured I would go on for 20, 30 minutes, wrap it up and call it a day and walk out of there. And it'd be a drop in the bucket for Mark. I was like 30 minutes into telling my story. 40 minutes go by and I start to see Mark. I can tell he's just getting emotional behind the camera. And I'm only telling this story because of, it's a very important piece of my life at this point. It's something I'm very proud of with this. And so I don't want this to come off as any kind of weird way, but I can see Mark kind of getting emotional. And then I begin to get emotional because I get to a very heavy point of my story talking about Chad Couples, and I'm just full on crying. And at that point, Mark and I are both basically crying together. And I wrap up the video, fully expecting Mark to kind of shake my hand and just kind of say, okay, thank you, Seth, and go about my day. And the first thing Mark says to me is, Seth, he's like, I've interviewed over 8,000 people, and that was the best story I've ever heard in my life. And I could not believe that he had said that to me, because of all the people that are on that channel and all the stories he's heard. I figured I would be a drop in the bucket, just another day. And I was really proud, that he said that for many reasons, but mostly because there was only one person that I had considered to write my foreword to my book that I really wanted. I asked multiple people, but there was only one person that I really, really wanted, and whose name I thought carried significant weight considering the circumstances of my story, and that was Mark Leda. I didn't know who Mark was when I knew what soft white underbelly was. I didn't know who Mark was, but I found out who he was, and so that's how I found out. And so I went out there and I just asked him to endorse my book. He said yes. And I said, okay, well, would you write the foreword to my book? And he said absolutely. So he ended up writing the foreword to my book, Strength Beyond the Shadows. And it was just a badass experience, He gave me a signed copy of his book, and I was very proud it was just a crazy moment, just a crazy time in my life to get to meet somebody like that, to tell my story on that platform. And it's done a lot for me since then. It's not, I wouldn't, I don't know if it's life changing at this point yet, but I don't know, maybe potentially, I'm not really sure. But it's cool, man. I've gotten so much feedback. I've gotten so many responses, so many comments. The video's, I think, close to 1.5 million views at this point. And I'm just really proud of myself to be able to tell my story the way that I do, articulate it in a way for people to understand and appreciate, but then also relate to and heal through. I tell my story for many, many reasons. The biggest one is to help people. It's just to help. I just want to help people. I just want to help people understand who they are, what happened to them, what, they are normal at this point. There's nothing wrong with them, or maybe there is something wrong with them, and it's okay. Like, maybe there is something wrong with you, and it's okay. Like, we learn to live with this, right? And so it was just a great experience. I'm glad my story's reached many, many people. I'm glad that it's helped as many people as it has. And without people like Mark in this world, I mean, there's nobody like him. There's nobody like Mark. There's nobody in the world that has done what he has done in the way that he's done it. There's nobody who goes out there and just gives these people a story, gives them the spotlight to share their pain and suffering, or even maybe their wins and losses, the way that he does. He doesn't ask for money. He doesn't ask for anything in return. He is not, trying to get over on anybody. He's just letting people see the vulnerable side of life. Hence the name, soft white underbelly. It's the vulnerable side of the animal. It's the vulnerable side of the beast. He's letting people see the world that nobody wants to acknowledge, nobody wants to appreciate, nobody wants to talk about. And to give people like me a voice in a world where there are so many without it, it just means the world to me. And so I'm forever grateful to Mark, for sure. I just can't thank the man enough. The experience was incredible, and I'm just so glad to be where I'm at. Sharing my story the way that I do, writing a book, being a motivational speaker now, and being on some big platforms, some big stages, and just very proud of myself. And so that was my experience with Soft White Underbelly. I recently went back and did a second episode, which should be airing sometime soon. But yeah, incredible time. If you've got a hell of a story, reach out to Mark and let him know. I mean, he's awesome. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for following the channel. Listen, I don't get paid by this. I just found this brand, Official Patriot Gear. They make some really cool clothes. More importantly, this shirt right here is Protect the Children. So it's a really, really cool shirt. Got the American flag. You can't go wrong with that. All right, so go check them out, Official Patriot Gear. Go check out my Instagram, Seth _ Gale. And then go check out Mom and Dad Army as well. Doing some big things over there, all about stopping the war on children. That's kind of what I'm into now, is advocating for children, but also motivational speaking, author, father, husband, all of the things that I'm doing. So thank you all again for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Please do all the things to get my channel back out there. I had a big channel previously, and now it is all gone. So I'm kind of starting from the bottom, but I'm back, and we're back in action. So thank you guys.